What's good? What's good? Another video. I promise y'all I'll take a shower after this one. Cause if you've watched my last 4 or 5 videos, I've been wearing the same shit. And that's not just cause I like this shirt. Although I do like this shirt. But yeah, if you were learning some of this crap, it's just a thing about MGTOW people. Honestly, I feel like despite the reason people are dragged to these videos and whatnot, it's always like, they talk about women all the time, but to be 100% honest, I think that is the least of a lot of people's, MGTOW people's actual worries. But it's just the most brainstem one. So that's why it gets discussed all the time. Cause that's what attracts people to the videos, but to be honest, I think that's the least of what draws people here. Obviously they notice the women thing, but is that the reason they're on these videos? I'm not sure if that's the 100% reason why they're on these videos. But in this one, I'm just going to talk about the dollar and don't get distracted. So continue to watch that dollar. Is it going to collapse sooner or later? That's the question. Not really. Is it going to collapse? That's not the question anymore. Is when it's going to collapse. That's the real question. Don't let them distract you with all these other dumb issues, like all this race stuff. The most recent one is how the 8 people in Atlanta, I think the city was, that the 21-year-old guy shot him. And they're saying, oh, was he a sex addict? Was it race? And all that crap. See, look, those are 2 of the biggest distractions right there. Was he a sex addict or was it race? Right? Who cares? To be honest. Those are the 2 biggest distractions, even on a lot of these MGTOW videos. If you just look at the comments, some of these people are even distracted. The whole COVID thing in general, that's also part of the distraction. COVID has still killed less people than heart disease does in a typical year. And just enough said on that. So let me just get to the real thing. They've printed upwards of $5 trillion in the past year. So what comes around goes around. It's impossible to avoid this law of the universe. What comes around goes around. So this compromising of future generations, I think, is what really led to MGTOW in the first place. From my understanding, a lot of men started going their own way since the 70s, and that's when divorces started getting popular. But we didn't have I wasn't even born, to be honest. I wasn't born until 96. But they didn't have the ease of communication to discuss it until relatively recently, when the internet and video on the internet came around, in the 2000s. To be honest, 2010, 2009, 2010 is when video on the internet started getting really popular, mainly YouTube. That's when they had the ease of communication to discuss it. To be on, or not to be honest, but just the next point here. The more you print money, the more everything gets inflated. Especially the things that involve several layers of bureaucracy. So think about healthcare, which I knew that personally, to be honest. That's probably why I'm kind of MGTOW, even though I was kind of doing it before I went to pharmacy school. Just because I sensed it. I had no word for it at the time, and it was just because of what I sensed. and that it wasn't even, I was like, okay, 60% of our class is women. We're taking out all of these loans, and I know this used to be less expensive. It just didn't make sense to me. That's why I was MGTOW, because I was just doing research on history and all this stuff to figure out, okay, how did this all happen? That was like why I went. So that was when I started going my own way, just doing research and trying to discover, okay, try to get to the bottom of, okay, what happened here, because this like went weird quick. Society is not necessarily, I didn't think it was supposed to run that way, but I didn't know at the time, so I had to do research. Now that I did all this research, now I kind of have some answers, so that's part of the reason I started this YouTube channel. But, okay, so the more you print money, the more everything gets inflated. Healthcare, which I know firsthand. Education, which I also know firsthand, to be honest. Housing, the government itself, the banking industry, politics, etc. Notice how all of those things are inflated. Inflated in terms of the amount of money behind those things, inflated in terms of the amount of people behind those things, and inflated in terms of the amount of importance given to those things. These things are important, don't get me wrong. Government's important, banking's important, politics is important, healthcare, education, housing, all this stuff is important. But the value has gotten inflated to the point where, at this point, it's like you have to strive too much to understand that stuff. And then in a society, you shouldn't have to spend that much time trying to get to the bottom of those things. Like, those things should be serving the society rather than being a central focus of people's attention. Because that just means the importance of it is inflated. And I could say a lot more, but I could have videos on all how it got inflated and all this crap, but to be honest, just think about it. Yeah, just think about it, just let you think about that. The more you print money, the more everything gets inflated. Especially when there's layers of bureaucracy behind, because layers of bureaucracy is just layers of people, and then each layer has its own interests, and then you add money into that. So just leave that there. The plan of America seems to be to import labor. So these immigrants often have no clue about what printing money really means until it's too late. Oftentimes, the immigrants are here in this country, being America, because of the fact that America printed money, encouraged their home country to do the same, and then screwed up the economy of their home country and the government of their home country, so then they end up coming here. And I'm Nigerian. I'm Nigerian American. I was born here. My parents were from Nigeria and they came here. And that's the story of what happened there. Nigeria gains independence from Britain, adopts the system of big government central planning, and then they get screwed quick. And then a lot of the Nigerians end up leaving and coming to places like the United States, and places like my cousin, she went to school in England, and she ended up going back to Nigeria. But that's just funny to me how people, they leave to go get educated in the places that had the philosophies that screwed up their own country in the first place. They go there, they get educated, then sometimes they come back, or sometimes they just stay there. That's just kind of funny to me. Even the value of, when you print money, even the value of the country, it gets inflated as long as you work the media, right? But I'll get into that in another video. But oftentimes the immigrants, they don't really know what printing money means until it's too late. And they even come here and encourage the printing of money too, to be honest. And they don't really get it until it's too late. Some people, they don't get it at all. At some point, as more countries around the world adopt this centralized way of running an economy, America will run out of countries to import their labor from. And then those countries, if they're smart, they'll just start making the goods for themselves. Because to export goods here, at some point people will realize the whole scheme of it. And I'll get into that in other videos because this one's long enough, but people, they want US dollars, but then they're working to get our own dollars. So people are working to make our dollars valuable. And then in this country we just print more of it, expecting them to keep making goods that back our dollars. Which doesn't make sense to me. The people in this country, they've already got it. That's why all you guys are MGTOW, right? Because you understand it at some level. A lot of you probably think it's still women or something, but at some fundamental level you get it. Yeah, and I'll leave it there. Plenty more videos to come to like expand on the last few points I had there. And then we're gonna get into the controversy here. Yeah, so if you guys are watching this channel now, then you might have come at the right time. Leave comments I want to see what your perspective is. Am I wrong? I don't know if I'm wrong at this point, but I'm not right about everything, and I'm always down to learn more, to be honest. I could be wrong, right? There are people who are 40, 50, 60 years old, and I'm only 24, so no matter how much you learn in a matter of a year or 2 years, at some point if someone's 40 years old, they're 40 years old, right? If someone's 50, 60, they gotta know something. Hopefully they put something together. I can't even imagine, I don't even know about being that old, right? I'm 24, so, yeah, to be honest, I'm surprised they didn't ransack the government earlier. I'm surprised we're still here and no one's ransacked the government yet. But I think it's because we just keep importing immigrants who don't realize it until it's too late. But yeah, and then they try to just slaughter the health of the people who are born here just because they're just printing money, just destroying their savings. But I'll get into that in another video. Alright, I'll take a shower now. And I'll catch y'all later. Hopefully this isn't too long.